Gwen Young is director of the Global Women's Leadership Initiative at the Wilson Center. She joins us today to talk about her program and also about various elections taking place around the world.
Exactly.
And you're pretty new to this program, Gwen, about 2 full months now?
2.5 months exactly.
So how's it going so far?
It's going great. It's exciting to be here at the Wilson Center. I've got a great platform, a lot of energy. And as I'm going to talk about today, 2016 is an election year. There's women in top positions all across the globe.
Another step toward this ambitious goal, 50% women public servants by 2050.
Absolutely.
Give us, where are we in that scale of ambition? How far along are we?
Depends on where you are in the world. We're relatively far along. In Congress today, we've got 104 women in Congress in the U.S., which is the highest number of women in Congress. But in Silicon Valley, in the economic sector, we're only at 3% of women in leadership positions. Mm-hmm. But yet across the globe, of the 192 countries, 73 have women leaders.
So you're not just looking at elected positions, you're looking beyond that as well.
Yes, we're looking at public service broadly.
How do you get there?
How do we get there?
Yeah, what are the barriers? What are the things necessary to move from 3% in Silicon Valley or whatever percentages in Congress to get to that 50%?
Part of the barriers are legal barriers, so allowing women to run. Another barrier is financial access, so the fundraising, which we talk about a lot in the U.S. elections. How do you raise enough money to run? The third barrier is social and cultural, so people's belief and confidence in women as leaders, women as a president, for example. And the final thing is women themselves wanting to run and wanting to make that decision to be in a public role.
Crazy enough to want the job?
Exactly. Crazy enough to want the job with everything else they have to do.
Right. So let's look at some recent elections. We've had elections in Taiwan and Nepal and Canada, Burma, other places. Give us a quick overview of progress that's been made.
Absolutely. Canada, Justin Trudeau, the Liberal leader who won, is just about to start tomorrow. He will nominate his 25-member cabinet and his commitment to gender parity. So tomorrow we will have a gender parity cabinet in Canada for the first time in history. Nepal just elected its first woman leader last week. She was elected to parliament in 1993, and now she's supreme commander of the armed forces in Nepal. And Poland last week, actually, for the first time in 20 years in Europe, 2 women contested a campaign and a woman won, which in Polish history will be the third time they've had a presidential candidate. So things are exciting. Taiwan's elections are in January 16th in 2016, and the front runner is a woman. The two parties had 2 female candidates, one for each of the parties, but the front runner for the KMT, the ruling Nationalist Party, was replaced by the male mayor of New Taiwan.
Mm-hmm. And so you mentioned 3 women presidents in Polish history, 0 in the United States history.
0 in the United States.
Why has the United States lagged behind? There have been other chief executives around the world in Western democracies and elsewhere that have been women, but not here. Do you have any sense of why the United States has been more resistant?
I think part of it is the way the parties are set up and the way the caucus system has organized, and the women's access to actually getting the party's nomination. We have a very complicated system to get elected, which ensures, as many people have talked about, that you get good candidates, that you can come from anywhere and you can rise into that. But you do have to rise through a political party. You have to have the time and energy it takes to run that political campaign, and you have to have a lot of money. You have to be in it for the long haul. We are 365 days away right now from electing our next president.
And I know you're not in the business of endorsing candidates, but it must be exciting that there's going to be right now, the prohibitive favorite might be a woman in the United States.
It is. It's very exciting. And especially when you look at the 3 women candidates across the 3 leading parties, the Republican Party, the Democratic Party, and the Green Party. All candidates come from, they're at the top of their careers, they're at the top of their professions. They come from the best schools in the United States, the best masters. So it's a very exciting time to see qualified women candidates.
The role of men. It's what you said about Prime Minister Trudeau, that he's made a commitment. That's something that overlooked in this equation often, is that men have a role other than just losing to a woman in an election, that they have to be committed to this as well, and Trudeau is a good example of that.
They do have to be committed, and often, we've talked about this before, men have either been isolated from the dialogue or taken out of the equation. But actually, the idea here is inclusivity, people working together, and men have to work with women, and women have to work with men. That's part of having a diverse government and a diverse society. Men play a very important role, not only as champions, but as carrying the banner and leading the charge and demanding. Justin Trudeau got elected, and now he's committed to gender parity in his cabinet. And we'll see. He has to put that into place because he is the leader.
A final thought for now, for this discussion, but we'll obviously revisit this in the future, especially since it's far away from 2050. We'll have to keep updating. But where has there been more or less progress, in the public sphere or in the private sphere? And you mentioned, comparing Congress to Silicon Valley, it sure sounds like the public sector has done better. But overall, what does that look like? Overall,
well, in the United States, it's definitely been in the public sector. I think across the globe it has been. One continent that gets overlooked often, and just recently Ivory Coast and Tanzania had women leaders. Africa has a fair amount of female presidents, and in the public sector women have led at national levels, local levels, and community levels. Women also, though, across the globe, and it depends on where you look in Southeast Asia or even the Middle East, women are leading as entrepreneurs, so they're leading in the business sector. But overall, globally, as you said, it's the public sector where the most progress has been made, but it's still also the sector that has the hardest challenges, because the public sector is public service. It develops policies which impact both men and women across the globe.
I'm guessing generational turnover has a lot to do with building momentum as well.
Yeah,
less
and
resistance
the youth of today, and less resistance
among young people.
Absolutely.
Well, Gwen, thank you for joining us, and look forward to the next time.
Great. Thank you.